Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Easy Peasy Show brought to you by Sportasonic. You can listen to every episode of the Easy Peasy Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or anywhere else you usually listen to your podcast on. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Now let's get into the episode. So, for the first time in forever, MLB is interesting again. Knockout of the weekend over, UFC and the boxing and all the other stuff going on. I can't remember the two guys' names. Anderson, I think, was one of them. And
Jose
Ramirez
Ramirez
was
was the other.
okay, yeah, and I don't know either of the teams they play on, the Chicago White Sox and the
Cleveland Guardians. They used to be the Indians.
what kind of Indians?
Feather. That's why they changed their name. Because
Gotcha.
it's racist.
I mean, I guess either way, it probably would, whether it's the 7-Eleven Indians or the Native Americans. But anyways, that was a good little fight. And speaking of fights, we can talk about UFC Nashville right now if you wanted to, if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down. I watched some of the fights on UFC Nashville. I didn't buy the card for the boxing match, so kind of in the dark there. But I'm done to talk about Nashville.
Let's go for it. We can either discuss all the fights or just the ones you care to discuss. Like I said, I only really watched the prelims. I didn't even watch any of the main card. Just didn't have time to watch two things at once, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I'll recap some of the fights. Just took a few. I mean, I'll keep it pretty quick. Most of the fights were pretty solid, though. Some upsets for sure. I think for the most part, most of these fights were always supposed to be close, though. So no shocker there. But we'll start off with Almabayev and Osborne. Almabayev got the better of Osborne with a rear naked choke in round one. That's now 14 straight wins for Almabayev. And he really had his way with Osborne in the match. Took him down early, kept him there in round one. Come round two, much of the same. Then set up the submission, got it done. So, really, really good, strong showing for Almabayev. Really bad showing for Osborne. Obviously, the competition there for Almabayev isn't great, but we'll look for a step up next time. With 14 straight wins, I would think that he's going to get a step up in competition pretty quickly. Zach, anything to add there?
Yeah, I'd imagine it was definitely a pretty impressive debut. It's one of the watch I was able to. One of the fights I was able to watch all the way through, and that's kind of what I expected. I expected the takedown and the ground game to be, pretty good, and it was. He impressed in his debut. I really like him. I think he'll be a name to look out for the foreseeable future. Maybe if he can work on his striking, really. I think he set up his shots pretty well too. But if he can just work on setting them up even more, I'd maybe like to see him do some more leg work. So he can fake those leg kicks, get easier takedowns. Not that he needs help getting takedowns at all, but just saying some things you'd like to see him work on.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has some room to grow in whatever they do. I mean, even you look at the top of the pound for pound list. I mean, Volkanovski, there's certain things that he could work on too. Not many, but there are some things that he could work on. But obviously, when you're on the early prelims, you're not a high level fighter just yet. So, of course, he does have quite a bit to work on, but some a really solid start for him here in mixed martial arts. Move on to Woodson and Bazooka.
Close. I made the joke that it's just pronounced bazooka, but then I heard it on the broadcast. They were saying bazooka, so I was like, oh. I didn't know, but hey, it's bazooka.
We'll go with bazooka then. So Woodson defeated Bazooka via unanimous decision, 30-27 by all judges, I do believe. Really, the length and experience for Woodson proved to be the difference in the fight. That's now 4 straight for him. So, good little streak he's going on now. Not quite as good as Amabaya with 14, but still 4 in mixed martial arts in a high level is always good.
Yes, absolutely. Whenever only two of your professional fights didn't, you know, end in a victory, I think you're doing pretty good for yourself. And I think his just honestly, just the way he's built, I think is just such a huge advantage for him. He's just kind of like tall and lanky for the division. He doesn't really have the most traditional striking. So yeah, I think good for Sean Woodson. I believe Dennis Bazooka took this fight on short notice. I wouldn't say it really showed, but I think Sean Woodson just ended up being a lot better than what most people expected him to look like.
I think you had Woodson winning this fight, did you not?
I believe
If
I
I,
did, yes.
yeah, not that that's any knock on you. Like I said, most of these fights were projected to be pretty close, and being that there were only a handful of finishes, I think that shows.
Yes, absolutely.
So here's another one I think you had incorrect was Durden beating Hadley via unanimous decision. Another 30-27 by all three judges. Um, that's not to say that Hadley didn't almost win because he did have an armbar seemingly secured in round two, just couldn't get the tap. But that's four straight victories for Durden now. So another guy that's got a good little streak going.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said before, I'm a huge Durden fan. I didn't think the matchup was the best for him. I thought Hadley was going to get his opportunities, and he did. He just couldn't finish, and Durden just looked like the better fighter because of it. I mean, you can't
Pause.
capitalize on your opportunity. I'm sorry.
I said pause.
Like legitimately, or you.
No, 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 no. You said he couldn't finish. Pause.
Anyways, yes, I'm a big Durden fan. I shouldn't have doubted him. Good for him. Looked pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of like us doubting Derek Lewis a few weeks ago now. Why do we ever do that?
I don't know. This is the last time I'll ever do it, though.
Yeah. Well, we did doubt him against Cyril Gahn too, so but for good reason there.
Yeah.
Next we got Quarantillo versus Jackson. Quarantillo did defeat Jackson via the unanimous decision, 29-28 on all three scorecards. It was really a solid fight. Jackson came out strong. Second round was pretty competitive. It went to Billy's favor, and then third round was more Billy than Jackson. And so, I mean, just a really competitive fight, but Quarantillo got the better of him there.
Right, yeah, and as predicted, I mean, Quarantillo just did what he usually does. He just kind of, weathers the storm in the first round, comes down the second and third, does his thing. I'm pretty surprised he wasn't able to get the finish. You could tell Jackson was just starting to gas out pretty quickly, and honestly, it wasn't really pretty from the second round on for Jackson. I mean, he had his moments, but nothing like Quarantillo, who was just putting on immense amounts of pressure and just connecting. And like I said, Jackson's age and his chin really weren't holding up all that well.
Yeah, I think if the fight goes 4 rounds, it's definitely finished in
Mm-hmm.
favor of Quarantillo. So, uh, sadly, prelims do fight 3 round fights. But here's a shocker: Harris defeating Wells by Anaconda choke in round three, and holy comeback here. Wells was absolutely dominating this fight. Harris really did nothing in the first 2 rounds, like barely anything. I don't. Let me pull up the stats of the fight here. I don't think he really did
Yeah, Wells relied
anything.
mainly just on his pure strength, and he'd just take Harris down, and there's nothing much Harris could do. And then, to Harris's, I guess strengths. I'm not sure if that's the word I'm looking for there, but for Harris, I mean, he's had a couple chokes, I believe, in his career. He's not no slouch in the grappling game in the BJJ world, and Wells gave up that neck pretty easily, and it was kind of surprising. It didn't look like Wells was in that much of a compromised position, but then all of a sudden, good on
He
the
was
ref.
out.
Yeah, no, good on the ref because like I said, I thought he was still fighting, but the ref had a check on him, and sure enough, seconds later, Wells is convulsing on the canvas as Harris is celebrating. So
Good on Harris. I mean, that's why UFC or MMA in general, or really any sport, but more so combat sports, uh, you don't ever give up until the end of the fight. So, props to Harris for staying in there. It's it's a heartbreaking loss for Wells, but I really do think he has, he does have some things to look forward to in the UFC. Obviously, like you said, his strength is immense. I mean, he was just able to ragdoll Harris on the ground for the majority of the fight. By the way, I pulled up the stats. Harris landed 5 strikes. No, I'm sorry, 5 significant strikes, 19 total strikes. Um, so really, kind of I don't want to say a fluke loss for him, but a fluke loss for him.
Yeah, I suppose. But I mean, like you said, you're not paying attention. I mean, you don't respect your opponent. All of a sudden it's lights out. I am surprised this fight did finish with submission. I was expecting a knockout from one way or the other, but Wells surprisingly was looking towards the wrestling game, and like I said, I think he was just kind of relying on his pure strength. He definitely understood what Harris was able to do to his opponents, what he's done to opponents in the past, just knock him out cold. So he played the safe game, got him down to the ground, but he wasn't too safe, and Harris got the better of him. So um, I wouldn't really call it a fluke loss. I'd call him, just like I said, props to Harris and shame on Wells for letting that happen. But I think Wells would be all right. But obviously, there's a lot more to be worked on by him. There's only so much that strength is going to get you at the end of the day.
Yep.
So
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I don't mean just. I'm using the word fluke for lack of a better term there. Uh, Obviously, Harris is not incompetent on the ground. He sunk in the anaconda and got it done. So props to him. But we'll move on to Phillips and Barcelos. Barcelos.
there you go.
Phillips defeated Barcelos via unanimous decision 30-27, 29-28, 29-28. He's now 5 for 6 in his UFC career. So maybe an up and comer right there. He's got 2 in a row now. Barcelos has now lost 2 in a row after starting 5-0 in the octagon. So downward trajectory there for him. Really needs to get it going. Phillips, keep doing what he's doing.
Right. Yes, and in a card that had a bunch of close fights, I think Phillips may have been one of the I say bigger favorites. But I mean, I think he was like a minus 200 favorite or something at the time. But so I think he got the win. He did what he had to do. Barcelos obviously taking steps up in competition lately, realizing his flaws. I think he knows what he needs to work on, and like you said, Phillips, if he just keeps going the way he keeps going, you know, uh, the record looks pretty. The people he's fighting don't look too pretty, but hey, I still think he's got some good talent, and I think he'll probably be fighting on some main cards pretty soon. I think he'll be
Yeah, I
opening up the
mean,
main card soon.
yeah, obviously, I don't think he's done in the UFC. Like I said, he started out 5-0, and some after some steep increases in competition, he's lost his last 2. That's not that's not a knock on him. He's probably just kind of advancing a little bit too quick. So um, maybe just needs to take a step back next fight.
Yep, we'll have to see. And with that being said, I guess we'll move on to the main card, which had 6 fights on it. Is that how this worked this go around?
Yeah,
Gave the
that's
people
what
of
it.
Nashville a treat. Just threw an extra fight on the main card.
Yeah, hey, Nashville is a great city, so a lot of fun. But um, oh well, I do want to say this though. I mean, the UFC really has done a great job in matchmaking these fights lately. Uh, Even the prelims, early prelims, I mean, they're all good fights. I haven't seen a bad UFC fight in quite some time. So, uh, or let me rephrase that, like a string of them together. So,
Right.
really props to them. They've really been putting on a show in matchmaking.
Well said.
Um, Going to the main card though, Klein did defeat
Bahamondes.
Bahamondes, thank you, via unanimous decision. Again, 30-27, 29-28, 29-28. Klein's now 4-0 at lightweight. Obviously not an easy task in Bahamondes there, but he got it done. Props to him. Future's bright for him, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't able to watch the fight, but I believe Bahamondes was a favorite going into the fight, and I believe I picked him to win. I can't really remember
Yes.
why. I'm not saying I'm backtracking because I didn't realize Khan was this good. I just straight up can't remember why, but both still good fighters. I both think they. I'm not sure how old is Klein? Do we know?
Let me pull them up.
I feel like Bahamondes. Oh, I don't know actually. Well, it don't really matter. I'm sure we'll see it both of them here pretty soon. I'm not really sure that either of them like took significant amounts of damage. We'll probably see them
It's
both.
28.
Yeah, okay. I figured he I don't know why is he kind of new in the UFC. Man, I really don't remember.
I believe so. Yeah, like I said, Klein's now 4-0 at lightweight. What is he in the UFC? He fought featherweight beforehand.
He's doing the Conor McGregor route.
Correct. Uh, 1, 2. Looks like he finished 1 and 2 in featherweight and moved up to lightweight.
I gotcha. Gotcha.
So, I mean, relatively new. What is that? 5-2, 5-2 in the UFC. So, relatively new. I mean, definitely not like a new guy making his debut like Amabayev. Which that was another thing that was so impressive about that opening prelim fight was that was his UFC debut.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to a fight that I don't think really should have been on the main card. Uh, it wasn't a terrible fight, but still, I don't think it should have been on the main card. Bozer and Kammer. Bozer did defeat Kammer via unanimous decision. It's now the third straight loss for Kammer. He's 1-3 in the UFC. Really, I mean, he's on the verge of getting cut from the roster. If we're being honest. I mean, he's not super active. He's now 1-3. Dana White doesn't like guys like that. If you're gonna lose and not be entertaining, you better be active at least. So
Yeah, not much to be said about the fight. Like I said, personally didn't watch it. I didn't think this fight was going to be much of anything. Obviously, Kimura coming off of a pretty long layoff, and like I said, it's always a pretty sketchy thing about those layoffs. You never know; they either come back looking exactly how they looked like before they left, or they come back looking like a completely different fighter. So it's just really hard to tell. And he looked like his old self, unfortunately for him. So yeah, Bozer by unanimous decision, a seemingly easy decision according to the judges' scorecards.
yep.
But anyways, we'll move on to some finishes finally.
Yeah, but I will say it is strange that some fighters, like you said, like a la John Jones, can take these massive layoffs and come back and be better than they've ever looked. Cyril Gane's no slouch in the UFC by any means, and John Jones just made him look like an amateur fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then you got guys that they'll take long layoffs and they come back and they look horrible. It's just bizarre to me.
Yep, I agree.
So, moving on, Lopez defeated Tucker via armbar in round 1. Hype around Lopez is quickly growing. He looked pretty good. Actually, he looked real good. I'm kind of jumping on the hype train here, but I think that's a guy to be excited about in the UFC.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude can fly around like no one's business. I'm not saying Gavin Tucker is exactly cream of the crop competition. I thought the fight was going to be a little bit closer than it was, but I mean, I think once Lopez, was able to get into the position that he needed to be, I said Lopez is sneaky. He's got a lot of submissions in his arsenal. So I mean, like I said, pretty much anywhere on the ground. But was he on his back when he got the submission?
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, you know, dude's on his back getting submissions. We've been seeing that a lot more lately. I feel like fighters being getting a little bit more sneaky on the ground whenever they're in a compromised position. But like I said, I kind of said it before. He's a little weird on his back. But I mean, like I say, I mean, they can just sneak these things in. Uh, Tucker, I'm not sure what his records looked like recently, I should say. But I said, dude's just getting up there in age. So, I mean, I just, good for Lopez for getting done what he had to get done.
Yep. But we'll move on to Nchekwu and Jacoby. Jacoby did defeat Nchekwu via TKO in round one. It seemed to be a pretty early stoppage. Nchekwu does seemingly come out pretty flat in the early rounds and just gain strength throughout the fight. And it seemed like he was still defending on the ground when he got dropped. Not a fan of the stoppage, but they did stop it. So, hey, props to Jacoby for. I mean, he took it out of the judges' hands. That's all really any UFC fan can ask for is that they take it out the judges' hands because they've been trash this year.
Yeah, Will said, and I guess Exhibit A that the referees have been just as trash as the judges. Some refs, I should say. Maybe like I say Nashville. I don't know who the ref was for this particular fight, but I know Nashville had some unheard of referees that we're not used to that aren't sanctioned by the Tennessee Athletic Commission or whatever. So but yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Nchekwu, whoever the referee, obviously hasn't watched an Nchekwu fight before. That'd just be like, seeing Nate Diaz get knocked down and just taking a couple punches on the ground and calling it. And you've never seen a Nate Diaz fight, so he's bloody and, on the ground getting punched, but you just don't call that fight. Nchekwu got up, immediately pretty much, argued, but I mean, there's not much you can do. You do get knocked down, you do get hit a couple of times. There's only, like I said, so much certain referees will do. So, like you said, good for Jacoby. Nothing, no knock on him. But I believe this fight could have been a little bit more entertaining. Had we even just gone into the second round. But both these fighters will move on to keep doing their thing. I mean, uh, already the third fight in the main card that was actually decently stacked for just like a little one-off event.
Yeah, but on the flip side for Nchekwu, you can't really leave it up to the referee either because at the end of the day, their job is to protect you from yourself, seemingly. So, when you get dropped like that, you're on your back. Just I don't want to say letting them hit you, just pound at you, but uh, you know, it's hard for a referee sometimes to not call that fight.
Right, right.
So, we'll move on. Suarez over Andrade via guillotine in round two. The downfall of Andrade is still upon us. Just looked bad. Um, Suarez looked really good. She's still undefeated in the UFC. Maybe she's potentially close to a title shot next.
Yeah, we'll have to see what's in store for her. I don't really care for Andrade at this point. She used to be pretty entertaining. Now, like I said before, she's seemingly here just for the checks. Just like give me my money, I'll get out of here. I really don't care what I got to do. Wouldn't surprise me if we see her on the next tweet of the UFC roster cut thing.
Yep.
But yeah, Tatiana Suarez was able to sneak in that guillotine, I believe. I don't know. I say sneak. I mean, it was pretty easily. I think everyone kind of saw this coming. Not much to be said. I think Suarez may have like one or two more fights in front of her before she gets a title shot. Like I said, beating Jessica Andrade at this point really isn't much, and I hope the fight makers see that and at least keep letting her test the waters against some more talented competition, and then we'll see what she can do from there.
So who do you think's next for her?
I don't know. I guess Nunes.
Hmm.
I mean, at that point, you have to challenge Amanda Nunes. You know what? Actually, you have to challenge.
Amanda Nunes retired.
Yes, I know. Okay, well,
Okay.
there goes the joke. Move on.
Sorry. Moving on to a fight that was really just dominant in favor of Sandhagen. He beat Font via unanimous decision. All three judges in the contest scored at 50-45. I mean, it was just really lopsided in favor of Sandhagen. Called out the winner of Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley. How do you feel about that?
I mean, deserved. I think even well, I was about to say WWE. I think even UFC was kind of setting up this fight to be the next champion. I'm sorry, next contender for the championship. Um, do I think Corey Sandhagen can beat one of Sterling or O'Malley? I think so. I think
I
so. I'm
think
not
I
saying
think
I'm
he
not
could.
saying it will happen, but I'm not saying this is going to be a like I'm not saying it's going to be a lopsided fight one way or the other if Sanhagen were to take it. I think he's definitely got avenues against either fighter. So I think when does Sterling and O'Malley fight? They fight, I believe, like in a week or so.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, not this weekend, but the next upcoming weekend, I believe, is when they fight. And I'll need to take a look at that card again, see if it's going to be entertaining or not. I'd imagine it will
Yeah, it's
be. I think,
August 19th.
yeah, I'm not like, I mean, I'm a decently big Sugar fan. I'm not like the biggest fan of him because he's trying too hard to be like a Conor McGregor. But
Or is that him or is that the UFC pushing to do
I
that?
mean, that's him. I don't. You ever see this dude on Snapchat?
That is true. That
So,
is
but I
true.
mean, so
I don't
I
know
mean,
who's
I
on
guess
that
you
card.
got to sell yourself. I get it, and because it helps sell pay per views, helps get you more money. But
Yeah.
and like I said, I mean,
Wiley Lemos is the co-main. Marlon Vera versus Pedro Munoz is on there. Jeff Neal
okay.
versus Ian Machado Gary.
Jeff Neal,
Cody Garbrandt. Ugh. Mario
no
Bautista.
chin,
Chris Weidman. Brad Tavares.
Chris Weidman,
Yep. Petrosky versus Mearshart.
yeah, Mearshart,
Mearshart.
yeah,
Oh, man, that's a horrible last name. Andrea Lee. Natalia Silva.
okay.
Gregory Rodriguez. Tiu Liulen.
I have no idea. I'd
Whatever.
have to see the name.
I mean, yeah, those are like the
Mm-hmm.
prelims. Yeah, I mean it's a decent card. It's not like super stacked like the past few have been, but uh,
Right.
it's not bad.
Yeah, no,
It's
it's
not like a
hard.
snooze fest of a card.
No, and like I said, I think it's going to be kind of like this card this weekend. There should be some entertaining fights. I have to do my research, but I think, like I said, most of these will probably be, close as far as the odds makers are concerned. So, yeah,
I mean, I hate
well,
to say this, I'm more interested in the fight night than the next week, which is Max Holloway versus Korean Zombie.
that's going to be
A banger.
I don't know how to put this. It's going to be it's not going to be pretty
No, it's
for
not.
Korean
But I
Zombie.
love Max
But
Holloway.
yes. I mean, I'm not really complaining because Max Holloway's going
Yeah.
to throw about 1,000 punches.
Yeah.
So that's all.
Oh, and
That's all
then
we care to see.
the next fight night is Gan and Spivak
Mm-hmm.
with Doug Rose fighting as
Oh,
well.
nice. That's a
So
fight
that's
night.
not a bad. Yeah, not a bad fight night.
That's a fight night. That's
UFC.
insane.
Is it UFC Paris? I think it's UFC Paris.
Okay. Oh, so it's gonna be at a weird time.
Yeah, it's Paris.
Is it like International
Yeah,
Fight Month or week or whatever? I don't know. I don't know.
let me
I
see.
may be making things up. But
I did see something about UFC 293 today. That the main event is seemingly pretty much not confirmed, but it's nearing the end of the process, and it looks like it's going to be Adesanya versus Sean Strickland.
interesting. Okay. Okay.
So Driscus ends up not getting that fight, which is interesting to me.
Yeah. That is interesting. I guess we'll have to see once the contracts get signed. I do love
Yeah,
how
now I
that
don't know.
division
I mean,
stays
that could
very
be
active.
totally, yeah, that could totally be not true.
Yeah.
What I saw
So
on
someone
Twitter,
blowing
but
smoke.
yeah, we'll see.
Yep. I guess we
And
will see.
the next few cards are really good. Ooh, Physio versus Gamrot. Dang it, boy. 294 is going to be a banger. Mahashev, Oliveira, Costa, and Hamzat Chimaev. Man, that's what I'm saying, dude. The UFC has done a great job lately.
Yeah, also I think the talent of the fighters are starting to everyone's starting to be a little bit more well rounded. Obviously, you have your cream of the crop, but then all of your up and comers are doing their thing, getting their training in, obviously getting their experience in before they come to the UFC. So it's paying off.
Yeah, definitely.
especially for Dana White's pockets.
Yeah. Speaking of which, though, I really would like it to be good for the fighters' pockets as well.
Yep, it's definitely one of those sports where you get paid. You get paid based on your performance and based on your
Name.
marketability. Yes,
Yeah.
so obviously that's why you see some fighters try very hard to get their name out there. They try and do something unique or try to have a certain fighting style that just sells well. Um, or like I said, they're into the antics or whatever. So, and then
Yeah.
obviously becoming a champion is the easiest way to get paid. But
Of course,
so
but even the champs still don't make as much as one would hope to be. I mean, they're getting their brains beat in for a living.
right, yep, and I will say most of the fighters in the fight world though do kind of have the mentality of championship or bust. They don't really care what it takes to get there. And I will say I think maybe Ngannou's the only one that comes to mind that really just didn't have that mentality where he was more concerned about the money. And I think he was kind of like trying to pivot it and make it seem like a welfare issue for all the fighters. Whenever I'm pretty sure he's the only fighter who didn't re-sign his contract. So
Yeah, that was that was just so disappointing.
yes, absolutely. But hey, like I said, UFC, we're in the midst of like 17 straight cards, so great things to look forward to. And I know we'll always have some insight for our listeners, and look forward to keep doing it. If you're ready to move on, I don't know if you have any final thoughts.
No, I don't think I touched on it, but I do think Sandhagen deserves the next title shot. Probably, I think he does have a better opportunity against O'Malley than he does against Sterling, though.
Yes, yes.
Those are my closing thoughts, though.
I thought you were going to say like my predictions. I was saying Hagen starches, and I thought you were going to fill in the blank. I was like, whoa. I'm like, oh.
Mm.
So we'll see, I guess. But no, yes, I agree with you. I think that fight proved that he's obviously besides O'Malley the top contender for the belt next. Yeah, well we'll see what route the UFC takes. I think that will be a very interesting fight. I think early prediction. I think Sterling's going to be able to outlast O'Malley. I just don't, especially after seeing Sterling. He didn't really run through Cejudo, but I mean he made slight
I
light
ran
work
through
of
Cejudo.
Pierre Yan, who I guess really isn't much anymore. Randomly, I don't know when that happened, but um, yeah, I'll do more research on that fight. I guess not this week, but next week, and we'll have another fun little breakdown of another main card, just like that.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll move on to Diaz versus Paul. You watched this card, I didn't, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I saw the results. So, uh, what'd you think?
Uh,
Let you run through some of the results and all that.
yeah, I can run through the main card, and I'll try to keep it quick. Um, so Sanchez defeated Beltran in what was a decently close fight. I thought that fight was going, it could have gone either way. I believe judges saw it go one way. I kind of agree. I thought Sanchez had the upper hand on Beltran, but it was probably the closest fight on the main card, all things considered. Um, moving on, Shadeja Green, go ahead.
Can I ask something real quick?
Sure.
So, being that I've never seen a Jake Paul fight, are those main like are the other fights, are they like legitimate boxers, or are they more like YouTubers?
Um, you'll see as I as I list some of these names. Some of these names may sound a little familiar to you, but yeah, sometimes some of his cards are more entertainment, and sometimes his cards are more actual value in the boxing world.
Well, I just looked up the main card and I see Jeremy Stevens is on there, so that
Yeah.
tells me all I need to know.
Yes, and it's a shame that he got the third fight on there, but I mean, like I said, mainly just name recognition. So yeah, it is what it is. Um, and there's not much to be said about that fight, but I'll get to it eventually. Anyways, Women's fight, Green versus Curry. When I first saw the last names, I thought it was Draymond Green versus Steph Curry. It wasn't. I was a little mad. Thought Draymond Green was going to run through the Warriors roster, knocked out Poole and sent him to Washington. I figured he was going to go for a knockout on Curry and send him out. I don't know where he could go, but no. Anyways, it was Shadeja Green versus
Send
Olivia
himself
Curry.
to LA.
Yes, I guess. But yeah, as predicted, Shadeja Green was able to make easy work of Olivia Curry. Most people expected that fight to end in a knockout, and so good for Curry. I hate to say that, like good, toughness and heart. But I honestly, as much as she was getting beat up, it was pretty impressive to see her stand in there and do her thing. But like I said, it was a pretty lopsided decision there. I think Shadeja Green only lost one round on one judge's card. So
Yeah.
and
A lot of hard, Joe.
yep. And moving on to the next fight, it was Ashton Sylvie versus William Silva, a battle of the last names. And the commentators sucked overall during the night. Like I said, I'm not that much into boxing, but it is what it is. And so Silva, old experience, Sylvie, started boxing since he was like 16. Pretty sure, I'm not sure if he like dropped out of school. I'm assuming he did because he, United States doesn't let you fight professionally until you're 18. So he went to Mexico at 16 to start fighting. They had like 8 or 9 fights under his belt. Now he's 19. Um, fighting professionally, doing pretty good. And I think I'd like to see him take some steps up in competition. He made pretty quick work of Silva. And man, this dude was super quick. Quick and powerful. And man, it was just very impressive to see. Like, so watching MMA so much, you see these fighters take more. The strikes are just overall more slow, and I would say more calculated. But I think boxing's even that much more calculated. It's just even quicker. So impressive stuff. Moving on to your fight that you mentioned. There's a Chris Avila out of the Nate Diaz and Nick Diaz camp against Jeremy Stevens, former UFC superstar. That fight was not pretty. Stevens showed why he got cut from the UFC.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that fight wasn't pretty. Obviously, it kind of shows the difference, as we all know, between boxers and MMA. It's just a different game. Not to say Jeremy Stevens isn't good, but it's obviously just different levels to this thing. And um, yep, Chris Avila got it done. Moving on to a championship fight, which was obviously a heavy favorite in Amanda Serrano, uh, coming back, and she defeated a 41-year-old Heather Hardy. It was a once again another she's got a lot of heart kind of fight for Hardy. It wasn't pretty. She was wearing damage since 30 seconds into the first round, and Serrano showed why she's the champion. I believe she switches between MMA and boxing, and she may be going back to MMA after this. But I have to look into it and see.
That's interesting.
Yes, it is. It is very, and
Those are two totally. I mean, I know they're both combat sports, but to me, they're entirely different sports altogether. So
oh yeah,
it requires two different shapes.
yeah, absolutely. You can see all the time in the UFC when people have boxing training. Obviously Nate Diaz is probably the best example I can think of off the top of my head. That's pretty much all he trains. And but Nate Diaz, obviously still has the submission game in his back pocket. He's still throwing a couple submissions, but all of his training he does, it's mainly just cardio and boxing, and cardio from boxing. So it's very interesting, yes, to still see that even though UFC fighters train in boxing, they don't train to be boxers. And like I said, the talent gap is, I don't care. It could be the best. Give me John Jones in boxing versus like the 10th ranked heavyweight. In boxing. So I think that boxer would probably win 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, like Ngannou is about to get just crushed by Tyson Fury.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're a boxer, why would you not take that fight?
Yeah, absolutely. I say Francis Ngannou is just a huge guy, and he's going to rely on power. And Ngannou's got some quick, for a heavy guy. He's got quick quick strikes, but he only seems to know how to throw power strikes. So there's only so quick you can make a power strike. And,
Yeah, and
I think Fury's going to show, just the difference, in between one shot power and, boxing technique.
yeah, I mean, and let's not forget that Cyril Gahn forced Ngannou to take it to the ground. So that's just not going to be pretty.
Yep, absolutely. And I'll move on to the last fight that many people paid to see, including me. The way, like I said, I really knew nothing about all these boxers until I started watching, and then I saw Jeremy Stevens. I said, that's interesting. Like I said, I saw the Green versus Curry fight, and then I said we moved on to the highlight of Nate Diaz and Jake Paul, and a very entertaining fight. Like I said, I didn't buy the fight thinking Diaz was going to win. I bought the fight knowing that Diaz was going to entertain, and sure enough, he did. Um, you know, doing all his ringside, not ringside antics, but in the ring antics, talking to people in the crowd, running after Jake Paul as he's running away, saying, why you're running. Um, it was a very entertaining fight, and Nate Diaz had his moments, which was the crazy thing. Obviously, Jake Paul was able to knock down Nate Diaz, and I think you can kind of put the script talk to rest, at least from here on with Jake Paul, because Nate Diaz, even if it was for a bag, which Nate Diaz did get paid for this fight.
No.
Nate Diaz wouldn't take any money to throw a fight. He'd go in there and do his Nate Diaz thing. So, like I said, entertaining fight, not a very like technical boxing fight, and more of your drunk uncle versus try hard. But hey, that's I think like I said, people watched that fight knowing that it was going to be like that. So it is what it is there. It is what it is there. Overall entertaining though.
Was it an ugly match?
Ugly in the sense that it would yeah, well I'll say it wasn't pretty from a technical standpoint. Jake Paul actually, this is my first time actually watching him fight closely. He actually has some pretty good technique, but boy does he gas out. He gassed out quickly. I mean, and I know it's Nate Diaz, and he's got the ability to make anyone in front of him seem like they're just wearing out. So, I mean, it may be that. But, I mean, it's just like Nate Diaz, but obviously gets his fifth, sixth, and seventh wins, and Jake Paul was like lucky to get his second win in like two or three of the rounds. Like after halfway through the fight, you could see Jake was just like, in some moments, and he kind of step it up. But then, like I said, I mean, I think Diaz won the fourth round and the eighth round, and I mean, in every round after the fourth round or fifth round, I'd say after the fifth round, so 6 through 10. Jake Paul was he was looking a little sus in there, a little sketchy. He's like, I don't know. He's a big guy, but I mean, obviously, work on the cardio, and he may be a serious fighter. I'd like to see him, fight an actual boxer instead of these entertainers. I get it. He's going for the money, but if you're in for the game at this point, he seems to be in the game for like, I want people to take me seriously, which is cool and all, but you have to take yourself serious. You have to take your profession serious, and then people will start taking you seriously. Because I mean, you can make a living out of this, and I mean, you can be really good at this if you wanted to. But like I said, you got to take a step up in competition, and I think you did one time. You took a loss, so keep doing that.
Even a massive step up in competition either. I mean,
no,
Tommy Fury is not.
No, it was a name. It was a namesake.
Yeah, it's not like he's some crazy good boxer.
No,
but yeah, I mean, from what I've seen from Jake, I'm not a big fan of Jake. I'll put it at that.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'll give him his props. I think he does have the ability to be a good fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Champion, I don't know about that.
No.
Does he fight like the same weight classes like Canelo?
Oh, I have no idea.
I have no earthly idea. But
Me neither.
He ain't
It's like a
Canelo's
bajillion divisions,
strap.
and man, I struggle with UFC divisions. But I mean, imagine every division in the UFC. There's a light version and a super version of it as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a guy I work with. He used to box, and he still follows boxing pretty closely. And every time I talk to him, because he knows I like the UFC, and I guess for whatever reason he just thinks that like
Yeah,
boxing
he
is
likes to chime in
default.
his boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I have no idea what
He's
you're
like, no,
talking
no,
about.
no, 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 not the
He's
same.
like, no, man, like, look, it's wait, like, this is how I'm like, I don't care.
That's cool and all, bro. I don't remember asking.
Sad Alzheimer's.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, that was it for the card. I mean, overall, it's a pretty entertaining card. And like I was telling you before we got on, I think I need to get into boxing. Some pretty interesting stuff going on in that little world.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to Jake Paul, I will say, I think at this point he has enough. Obviously, um, you don't ever want to say, "Oh, I have enough money," but I think he has enough money to say, "I'm good. I want to start taking this more seriously and fighting actual boxers."
Right? Yeah, and I think he should. Like I said, if he wants to be taken more serious, like I said, take the game serious. So do your thing.
But we'll move on to the U.S. women's national team embarrassing the entire country, the entire continent of North America. Uh, Everybody that wears red, white, and blue on a daily basis um, just embarrassed us all by losing. They were heavy favorites going in. I think after match number one in the group stage, I think everybody knew though they weren't serious, and we have a supposedly our best player miss a penalty kick and a crucial penalty kick, and then laughs afterwards. Just not a great look.
Yeah, no, not at all. But yeah, I think the writing was on the wall for the team this year. You could just tell in the group stages, it really wasn't meant to be this year. But hey, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. I don't have much more else to say about it.
I do have a lot more to say, but I'm not. I'm not on this show.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll move on to I will say the PGA update since the Wyndham Championship just ended at the time we were recording. Congratulations to Lucas Glover finishing 20 under par. Cool, 1.5 million in his pocket. Just for swinging the club at a ball.
Noise.
And yeah, good for him. It was pretty after a good round three. It was pretty much his to lose. And like I said, finished 20 under. The next closest guy was 18 under. So, I mean, pretty big in golf as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, decent gap there. Like I said, not one where you should be concerned about anything, losing anything, I should say. So, yes, good for Lucas Glover.
Yeah, absolutely. I did have a buddy of mine work the course, so
Mm-hmm.
props to him. That's pretty cool.
Shout out.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is the last thing we cover before one of our new segments, and it's the NFL officially returns this week, and then we have
Yeah,
the
we
regular
actually get to
season.
see football.
Yes, yes. Instead of I
Whatever that
can't,
was last Thursday.
I can't believe they named it the Hall of Fame game. That's I mean, it's such a like, yeah, it's like the exact opposite. I get why it's called the Hall of Fame game because you gotta you had to celebrate all the Hall of Fame nominees or inductees, I should say, not nominees at that point. So I mean, I get it, I get it, but
Uh, oof.
yeah, like I don't think anyone expected that game to be much, and rightfully so. And I don't think many of us are expecting these preseason games to be much. But hey, best believe we're going to be watching them decently close. Excited to see our favorite teams back in action. Ready to see who's going to be standouts. And, obviously everyone knows the starters, but hey, do you know your backups? You're about to find out. Obviously, some of the rookies are going to get some good run time in. You see how well they fit in with some of their teams, some of their schemes that the coaches got for them. And it should be interesting. Should be interesting to watch. I don't know if you have any game. Like I said, it is preseason, so I mean, I really don't have any games that I'm like in particular going to watch. I know I'm just going to be watching games just to watch them, though. Do you have any games you're looking forward to?
Not really. I'm not typically. I mean, I'll tune into some preseason games just because football is
Yes,
back. But
exactly.
uh, man, I lose interest rather quickly in those games. Uh, I think they're still going on when like college football kicks off. So I'm just like, just defer to college football.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, this is just we're getting these are our appetizers right now. I'm still very excited. This is gonna be my first year getting really into college football, actually understanding the landscape of everything. And of course, I chose the season whenever it's a bunch of conference.
I was
What's
about
the
to say, do
word?
you really understand anything now?
I thought I did. I understand the Pac-12 is toast. Um,
Yeah,
but I also understand that apparently this is what pretty much the group of five looks like every year or like every other season. There's some kind of shuffling going around with all their conferences. But
for relatively kind of
yes, yeah. I
like
mean,
for the
obviously
big
not
like
to
the
this.
power conferences to be shuffling this much, like
Yes,
in terms of big teams leaving conferences. For the most part, it was like the ACC picked up a team like Louisville from the Big East.
right, right. Yeah. So
So
yeah, like I said, tough year for me to pick to get into this thing. But hey, it makes things even more interesting. It's a lot of fun to keep up with, that's for sure. So
oh yeah,
I'm
definitely.
definitely excited. I'm just excited for football in general. I think I'm equally as excited for the NFL as I am college football. Um, I think college football is actually a great way to look at upcoming prospects, not only for like NFL prospects, but just Heisman hopeful prospects in the future. Yeah, obviously, I'm not saying freshman's gonna come in and sweep the floor this year, especially with the competition of Caleb Williams, but it's fun. You never know. Someone who you probably never heard of will probably make a name for himself this year. Probably transfer.
Oh yeah,
And you
most
never know.
certainly.
Never hear from him again or something. But we'll see. We'll see. A lot of fun stuff to move
Leave
on.
college football.
Go play in the CFL, the Canadian League, or something.
Hey, Warren Moon played in the CFL.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Did Johnny Manziel play in the CFL? I saw he's got a
Yes,
documentary coming out. And
he played in the Arena Football League,
oh yeah, he played in he
the
played in the fan controlled league. Yes.
Fan Control League,
Oh, Johnny
NFL,
football, man.
Canadian Football League. Man,
Man.
he's been all over.
I know everything except what people expected him to be in.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, a lot of people expected him to bust. So
They expected him to what? No, man.
turn out poorly in the NFL.
There you go. There you go.
Phrasing, phrasing.
That was just a crazy statement. That's an all-time statement by you right there.
Yeah, that was.
That's gonna be
Can't take
a
that
new
one
meme,
back.
and and they I got one more in me or something like one of those meme
One more in me.
formats or like
They expected him to bust. I'm gonna be there no matter what.
yes, new meme format just dropped. Anyways, we seem to have digressed, but we'll wrap up the show with a new segment we're going to call Victory Monday, where we pick our biggest winners and discuss even some of our biggest losers from the weekend. I don't know if you want to start, Peyton, but like I said, this is open for discussion. This is obviously very opinionated. If you just want to say who you think won this weekend, give like two or three, or just start off with one, and we'll alternate, and we'll see if we go from there. Just have an open discussion.
You want to do like 3 winners, 1 loser?
Yeah, or like 2 winners, 1 loser. Like I said, we'll just do whatever feels right. Like I said, we'll just test this out, see how it goes. And I can start off if you'd like. And
Yeah, go ahead.
okay, so obviously, I think a big winner from this weekend is just women's soccer in general. I don't, they don't have to deal with the U.S. women's soccer team coming in and bashing heads. Not like they were going to this year, but like I said, I think good for women's soccer. I think they can breathe a sigh of relief that the America hater who knew just shanked a kick and sent it over the arena. Sorry, out of the arena. And so yeah, I think like I said, big winner, just women's soccer in general. U.S. downfall is imminent, and I know a lot of them were probably praying on the downfall, and it finally happened. I know a lot of Americans are praying on the downfall too. So
Yeah, no kidding.
that's about it for that.
My biggest winner was probably Corey Sandhagen, dominating his fight and setting himself up for a title shot. He's already been one of the premier fighters in that weight class, and just solidified it this weekend. So, props to him. Look forward to seeing his next fight.
Nice, nice. I had him too as a winner, so I'll move on to one of my other ones, and I think my other winner for Victory Monday is Nate Diaz. Gets his bag, gets in there, has fun, entertains the crowd. Doing what Nate Diaz does. And like I said, I think boxing was just, I think that may be his gig. I know he said he wanted to move back to MMA, fight Jake Paul, which will be a shellacking. That won't even be fair. I mean, obviously, I understand why Jake Paul wants $10 million to do that. But anyways, yeah, big winner, Nate Diaz. Like I said, gets some money in his pocket. Um, didn't have to do much, just had to go out there, have fun being himself.
Yeah, he was also one of my winners. But another winner was oh man, uh, Lucas Glover for winning the Wyndham Championship. Big win for him. Just got a bag, so props to him. Uh, look forward to seeing what's in stock for the future for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have one more winner on my list that I'm surprised you didn't get. And I mentioned it earlier show, but it's the MLB, baby. Brawls are now in the MLB. This is awesome. This is exactly what the people needed. I mean, this is exactly what the MLB needed to make make their games more interesting. Let's be honest. There's only so many home runs that can entertain a person, in a game. Uh, so yeah, I'd like to see, maybe implement a rule like hockey, where just like you got to let them fight, which they actually did let them fight, but I think that's more or less just people were too slow to realize what was going on. I think by the time Anderson got knocked out, everyone was like, "Oh, like this is really happening. This isn't like, oh, let's just separate these two guys. This is a like this is a Malice at the Palace situation." So yeah, big winner MLB. Good for them. Like I said, letting fights get into the game. I think I'm all for it. I will definitely start watching more games more often just to get a little taste in some knockouts.
Yeah, for sure. My last winner for the week is Megan Rapinoe. I know she hates the United States and wants them to
Big
lose.
winner.
So good on her for
Yeah, she got what she wanted.
what she wanted.
She got what she wanted.
Props to her.
Yeah,
Great job for winning.
Yes, good for her. And that like you mentioned, she was laughing immediately. And man, I know Twitter's going crazy. I sent you some tweets already of, of some vicious things being said about her. I've never cared for her. Like I said, I mean, you represent America and you just talk so bad about it. And you do all of that. Deserved. I'm glad it was you that blew it for America, because now people are going to hate you even more. So hey, big winner, big winner. How do you say her name? Is it Rapinoe?
Rapinoe.
You see,
isn't she married to Sue Bird?
Sue Bird.
I'm serious.
I mean, I don't know, dude. None of my business.
I'm dead serious. I'm almost positive she's married to Sue Bird.
She probably is. Athletes like to
is Megan, married to Sue Bird. Wow. Do you have one of the greatest athletes of all time, women's athletes of all time, and Megan Rapinoe?
Yes, and one of the biggest anti-Americans ever.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it. I guess we can discuss one loser of the weekend if you'd like.
Yeah. Absolutely. I got mine.
All right, I'll let you go. I'll let you do yours first then. If they can match Rapinoe, I'm all for
My biggest loser is Tim Anderson. I mean, he dropped the glove, was squared up first, ready to go, caught one right hook and went down, was wobbly getting off the field. I mean, come on, man. If you drop the gloves ready to fight, dude, you can't go out like that.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Is he old or something? I mean, like, seriously, I don't know. He was in bad shape after that.
He's not super old, no.
Dang, I mean, we saw Dustin Poirier eat a kick and then get back up like 5 seconds later, like, you got me, man. Good one. Can't wait to fight again.
It wasn't even like it was a clean right hook, don't get me wrong, but it's not like
it wasn't like expertly set up or anything. It was the dude Ramirez. Was it Ramirez? Is that his name?
Yeah, Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, I mean, dude was like had his head down flailing, and he just connected with a nice right hook to the jaw.
Look, Jose Ramirez is a big dude. He has a lot of power in baseball, but I mean, man,
he's a little. I don't think he didn't look like your average baseball build, man. I don't even know what started the fight either. That's the crazy thing. I just see the highlights of them like they're talking to each other like normal, and then all of a sudden, like got up in each
Yeah,
other's face.
it was honestly it was probably something with Tim Anderson's slide
Hmm.
or something, or no,
Or Ramirez's
Ramirez's
slide.
slide. 'Cause,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry. Tim Anderson plays shortstop, so he
Hmm.
was covering second base. Uh, Ramirez probably kind of slid in a little late for his liking,
Hmm.
something like that. Catching spikes does not
Oh,
feel good. It doesn't feel good, so a lot of people tend to take exception to that. If you slide spikes up late into the bag, something like that. So I guess he had some pleasantries
exchange.
to exchange
Yep.
with Jose Ramirez, and Jose Ramirez did not take kindly to those pleasantries and told him to square up, which Tim Anderson ultimately did.
Hmm. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, is taking spikes? I don't know if that's like the proper term to it, but isn't that just like part of the game?
So yes, but no. Like obviously you'll have it, yeah, on close plays and stuff like that,
Hmm.
but for the most part, I think this is part of the reason you don't care for baseball. But obviously you're probably familiar with the quote unquote unwritten rules of baseball. There's a lot of
Don't hit people when
unwritten
you're bad.
rules, or it's kind of like just don't show people up, don't
Hmm.
play dirty, like kind of like that, and that's one of those things that it can be looked at as dirty. When you catch a spike to the wrong spot, I mean, dude, it could put you out for a little while. It don't feel good, I promise you that.
Hmm. Oh, I mean, I can only imagine. It's not like you have any. I imagine where you're taking the spikes, you probably don't have much padding or any kind of protection. Just taking a
No,
wild
if you lose your
guess.
pants and socks.
Yeah, that ain't much to be said there.
So
All right, I've in that time I was able to brainstorm a loser. I know we've already talked about a bunch of losers this weekend, but I'm gonna say my biggest one after a great first showing, and it's unfortunate they have to end up here. But I want to say the USA men's basketball select team. They are now doo doo, dog water. Apparently, Anthony Edwards got bumped up to the starting team by Steve Kerr, and things haven't been pretty for the practice team. They're really showing, they're really trying their best to, imitate like Puerto Rico or like the Czech Republic, some like no name international team, which is unfortunate. They got guys on there that we all know and love. But,
I mean, I'm sure you saw the tweet of the dude that I mean, I've never even seen this guy. He's playing for the U.S. national team.
which guy are you talking about?
Some white guy, like next to Chet.
Reeves?
Was it Reeves?
I'm trying to think of the white guys on the team. Reeves is the only one that comes to mind. I didn't even know Chet was on the team. You talking about the select team or the actual like men's team? I really don't know.
Uh,
I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know many white guys on the team.
man, I don't know. I just saw a tweet.
Oh, Nikola
I don't
Jokic.
know.
That's probably who you're thinking of.
No.
Oh, Luka Doncic.
I don't know. But
All the good
I
white
was
guys are
like, who
forward.
is this dude? Couldn't believe my eyes. What?
Yeah,
I don't know.
find the picture. Let me know. I guess. But with that being said, we can wrap it up if you'd like. I don't know.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts?
No, I would see Tim Anderson, big loser.
Mm, yes, and for me, it's a team comprised of NBA players is my biggest loser this weekend. Screw them. They should be doing better for our actual team. Losers.
Facts.
But yeah, with that being said, thank you all for tuning in, giving us a listen. Um, we always greatly appreciate it. And if you have any big winners or losers, be sure to add us. Let us know who you had winning or losing this weekend. As always, we'd love to get into arguments with y'all. So, please fire us up. Please let us know.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yes, absolutely. Peace.